Hello and welcome to the 40th edition of The Hex with Armand Kafai, Daniel Robertson, John Arnold. Boys, we went a little bit of viral on YouTube last week, so we've got a few new subscribers. Thank y'all for joining. Hope you stick around. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments. There was some really fun discussion going on over Messi and John's comments on Schmetzer and
John's bad comments apparently.
lots of great comments. Every comment is a good comment to me. So we have got 6 topics centered around the U.S. national team, the fallout from Inter Miami Seattle, World Cup qualifying, and World Cup tickets are about to go on sale. So let's get right into it. A tough Saturday afternoon in New Jersey for the U.S. national team, falling 2-0 to South Korea. They will play Japan on Tuesday to round out this window, but boy, guys, Twitter is alight right now with takes. John, I'll start with you. Let's go on a scale of 1 to 10. You're a journalist, and Armand and I are a little more fans. You're a journalist, but let's all put on our fan hat here for a second. If you're a U.S. national team fan right now, what is your level of panic on a scale of 1 to 10?
I think it's hitting 7.
Wow.
I think that it's starting to get a little high because every time the U.S. national team, this incarnation of it, has had an opportunity to show something to fans, to prove itself, it hasn't.
Yeah.
Talk about the March Nations League, big failure, big problems, everything's on fire. They had the friendlies before the Gold Cup, big problems, everything's on fire. Now, the Gold Cup itself was fine, but then you knew that the semifinal and final were going to be the most critical games. They're okay in the semifinal, okay in the final, but not great. They don't win the trophy. And so here's another opportunity. You're playing 2 Asian powers. And we talked about Pochettino's roster selection, but really I wouldn't call what he did on Saturday, Armand, experimental. I think for the most part you saw kind of what you've been seeing. A couple new faces, but for the most part they were trying to do the same thing, trying to play in the same way. That's what you'd expect. But again, just missing an opportunity to show American fans that things are going in the right direction. We said before the window, and I think midway through the window, it's still true. These are the types of teams that you will be playing in the knockout round of the World Cup.
Yeah.
Especially early, right? I think Japan's a very good team. I think Korea's a pretty good team.
It may not be knockout round, John. It might be.
They're top 25 though, and 32 teams are making the knockout rounds. So.
I mean, they're not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be. They're not gonna get drawn in the group with Japan.
They could.
I don't think so.
Because U.S. is pot 1, right? So they can get.
Yes.
They can get.
So I mean, they'll be seeded. So
but still,
they're going to have an easier group. Either way,
top 25
these are the types of teams that you have to prove something against, and they haven't, right? I think it is easy to over-index friendlies, but I think you can also under-index them. This is an official game that the team wanted to win, that they had some of their best players playing in. And they didn't get it done, and they didn't look cohesive, and it didn't look like they were executing what the plan was. And to me, that's why it's starting to tick up a little bit. I guess 7 is high. I don't think it's panic stations or smash the button, but that's where I think fans should be at.
I'm at a 7 as well, John. I mean, looking at this, I don't want to press the button too far and be like, hey, this is turning into a big problem, but it's getting there. It's getting to those points. You might point out I think I saw some metrics going around that the U.S. had more XG than South Korea, all this stuff, whatever. I'm willing to bet, I haven't done a deep dive, I'm willing to bet a lot of it happened after South Korea subbed out Son.
Yeah.
After they subbed out Son, and then they made these subs, they bunkered back a little bit. Again, we saw a game where I didn't see necessarily a clear identity. They were trying to bypass the midfield in situations. It looked like they were in this back 3 with Serginho Dest super high up as a right wing back almost, and trying to get him more involved against attacking prowess in there. He looked really good in the game. Everyone else, Josh Sargent, again, I mean, he was struggling at service, but again, it's just continuously the same situation. Berhalter and Adams, I like them. I don't like them together at all. I think they just are not good together as ball progressors. You had to have Pulisic drop back and kind of be involved in the midfield build. We saw him drop super deep in situations, and at times they were struggling to handle Korea's press when Korea was going really hard and trying to win the ball up front and leading to turnovers and mistakes. Look, continuously we've seen this golden generation, I'm putting quotations, golden generation be tested now, and
But
Look, I mean, we'll talk about Poch in the next segment and how much we should be, blaming him, especially with all the comments he's been making, etc. But from a player standpoint, I just haven't been impressed. I mean, where's Pulisic? He took a break in the Gold Cup, right? He took a break, and now, like, I wasn't impressed by his performance at
I
all.
think you're going a little too far, though, guys. I'm going to put it at a 4 right now. I'm not
Whoa.
at a high level of panic yet. And here's the reason why. I think it just depends on what your expectations are for the tournament. And when I say the tournament, I mean the World Cup, of course. And maybe fans have unrealistic expectations. Maybe they're being fed things. And of course, like Armand, you just said golden generation, but who's calling it that? Like, the players
Everyone was calling it the golden
players
generation.
didn't call themselves a golden generation. And my expectations are, okay, can the team make the round of 16? Can they make the round of 8? I still think they can make the round of 16, but the issue is, for me, and I said this on the kick around on Saturday, like, what I'm looking for in this window is not, I'm not looking for results. I'm looking for individual performances. Some of the individual performances were very bad. And I think we're learning. Berhalter, I don't know. Is it tough on he and Adams don't combine? Well, exactly what you said, Armand. So who's going to lose their spot there? It's going to be Sebastian Berhalter because Tyler Adams is starting. That second goal where they just bypassed the two of them, they didn't know who was marking who. That looked awful, and that can't happen. But the question still remains the same. Can Pochettino and his staff draw up a game plan to beat the teams that we are going to know 6 months out? And I still think he can. So that's why I'm not at this crazy panic level. Also, Tuesday will determine that a lot as well because the team, yes, game state, they did look a lot better once Balogun and who am I missing? And Zendejas and Roldan actually came into the game. Roldan's a guy, by the way, I think combines probably much better with Adams, and maybe that's something we need to see. We see that guy like a Ben Olsen type who makes the roster in every World Cup, that like Kellen Acosta a few years ago that you wouldn't have thought make it, that can play outside back, that can play midfield. Maybe Christian Roldan is that guy, but I want to see Balogun, Pulisic, Weah, and Roldan all start together on Tuesday. And then let's see before I tick from a 4 to maybe
So what is your expectation of is it to get out of the group? Is that I guess your expectation?
I think you want to win-run knockout round because like you said, they're in pot 1. They're going to have an easy group. They're not going to play. They're going to play one team probably on the level of South Korea and Japan in the first round. Probably.
But, I think it's interesting that I think like the US, Mexico, a lot of fans are making their benchmark and I think they're going to make it on the fly. I think it's going to be how it goes. It's going to be vibes because we're so used to the previous format. This is going to be different. In Mexico, we've joked, they can win the Quinto Partido without getting to the quarterfinals, right? Because of the expansion of the tournament. Is that going to be the new normal? Is that going to be the new standard? Or are fans saying, if you don't make it to the quarterfinals, it's a failure or what have you? So I think that's going to be something that's interesting to watch as well. So much of sports, so much of grades is based on the expectation versus the reality. So what are the expectations? I think we're going to be building the plane while it's in the air in a lot of ways in North America.
So going on the back of that, we kind of talked a little bit about what's happening on the field. Now let's talk a little bit about what's happening off the field. You can read Mauricio Pochettino's comments, everything he's making it. It's always a little bit tough when it's not a native English speaker, but you can read his comments however you want. You can almost interpret everything he said however you want, but it is clear he's starting to feel the pressure right now a little bit, and maybe he's trying to deflect onto other things. He's setting up excuses. I don't know, but Armand, do you think it's even a question right now of if he should keep his job? And I know you had some thoughts on some comments he gave.
If you fire Pochettino now, who's going to take the job? That's like
I mean it's a stupid conversation. It's a conversation for
who would take the job?
Yeah,
I mean anyone probably take it.
Oscar Freja would take that job in a heartbeat and maybe do a better job.
You think?
He would take the job, yes.
You think he'd take a job?
It's a short term. It's a short-term gig at this point, but that's also the problem of firing someone. I don't think he's.
No, he's not getting fired.
Exactly. But again, it feels like he is trying to start kind of plant the seeds of we're changing the culture here. It's going to take time. I only have X, Y, Z. You don't have time, right? You're going to be judged by
Klinsmann-esque.
Exactly, the 2026 World Cup. And I guess every, it's just Klinsmann and him. or the two foreign coaches that come in and said, "Oh, we got to change the culture of soccer in America. It can't be just this
But
game
he
we
says he's
play
not
for
doing
fun."
that. He says he's not doing that. He says he's not doing that.
Exactly. So it's like
He's a college football fan now. It seems
for,
like.
for he's
I mean, that's good.
he's just coming for me. It just seems like he's
What could he do right now, Armand, that would make you feel better?
have a game identity. There's still no identity to this team.
Sure.
Like if we look at again, and I understand back to the last episode why he's maybe forced into doing this because of the limited amount of time he has. But there is still no identity. You can still build an identity. He even said they're just tinkering around. These aren't official games. He said today in the press conference, these aren't official games. They're tinkering around, which in the article I was reading actually brought up in his introductory press conference. He said they don't do friendlies. Every game is going to be an official. I feel like an official game.
Yeah.
For me with Pochettino, it's just like it feels like he's feeling it. I feel like he's setting up for these things. And again, you have to be flexible in these situations, but at the same time, there has to be an identity. You are less than a year away from your first game.
But I don't disagree with you that it sort of seems like pre-excuse, but I also don't understand what his motivation would be to pre-excuse, because none of us think that he's going to keep on. The difference from Klinsmann is that Klinsmann actually had a lot of time. He had too much time. Mm-hmm. First cycle was good, and the second cycle was bad. Why did he get a second cycle? Because the first cycle was good. He's convincing. He's foreign. He was a great player. He's a very affable guy. And I think Pochettino, in some ways, like, he wasn't as great of a player. He's not maybe even as affable of a guy. But at the same time, like, he has those same qualities. But it does seem to me that while we talk about pressure and soccer Twitter and, like, people are mad, when you compare that to what Pochettino himself lived as an Argentina player, it's just different. It's a lot different. And he himself was talking about those differences, Armand. You're sort of referencing it, where he said, in that chat with the TikTok guy from the Spanish show, he's saying, like, well, in the U.S., soccer is very entertainment-based, and hey, we're going to go out and have a good time at the stadium. And in Argentina, it's more competitive. And that's true. But when I asked him at the Gold Cup final after they lost that game, I said, you have said you want to change the culture. He said, no, I've never said that. I've never said that, because I don't think that he sees that as an achievable goal, changing the culture. That's big picture. That's broad. However, it seems to me that he wants to push the culture in a direction that's closer to, you can put Argentina, but I think you can also say Spain, where he lived and worked. You could say England, where he lived and worked. These quote-unquote soccer countries that the U.S. still doesn't totally resemble, sometimes for good, but I think also for bad. And to me, that's where he is getting frustrated, because of these continual clashes between, if you're called to the national team, you should always be there, and, I need rest, the Pulisic situation in the Gold Cup. And even now, a friendly is for trying out a couple new players, and we're going to look at what happened on the field and tell you did a good job in the last bit, and you need to win, which I think is the U.S. mentality.
Yeah, and I think
that one is the Argentine mentality too, right? Like, if Argentina loses friendlies, people are not like, try better next time. Like, they're mad. But I think he's starting to see that clash a little, Daniel, and that's where I feel like the tension is. Not that he's going to get fired, not that he's going to quit, but just that this is going to be a bit of a bumpy ride for the next, 9-10 months.
Okay, but there's a tension there. And as someone who went, and you've done this as well, lived and worked in another country and worked in a different culture, I realized pretty quickly, I kind of came in trying to do things the way that I did in MLS with different teams. And I realized this isn't going to work. Like, these Italians are not listening to me. Like, they're not going to do the things I want to do. So I have to find the way to do things on their terms that work. And he's still figuring it out, right? But that's why I'm still, like, pretty optimistic, because I think it is also in the American mentality of, like, hey, yeah, this is entertainment, but you know what? We also know when we have to really produce. And in some ways, you kind of just have to trust the process with these guys and know, yeah, they're playing like crap right now. Does that even matter 9 months from now? And at the end of the day, Pochettino was signed not to win games in CONCACAF, not to make us look good in these friendlies, which we've looked great at home in friendlies and great in CONCACAF. And then when you go against the Netherlands, when you go against a round of 16 game, you do not have a coach and a coaching staff that can draw up a game plan that can really win you these games. That is, in my opinion, at least, I think that's how it was built. That's why Pochettino was hired, right? So do we have to just trust the process at this point? It's not fun, and it makes your...
I mean, we have to. We have no choice.
And it's scary because it means basically you have a 90-minute referendum pretty much, or what, a 270-minute referendum, but that was always going to be the case. So people love to talk, though. We're going to take a break from national team for a few minutes to talk about the one MLS story of the week, because we're recording this on Monday afternoon and news came out earlier today, which, by the way, there was only 4 MLS games last weekend. Not really too much to talk about there. A lot of
You don't want to talk about the 43 shots that St. Louis took against FC Dallas, and
I was about to say, what's
1-1.
the kid's name? Jacob Jackson.
Jacob Jackson.
I think he was the MLS Player of the Week. Maybe
He
He
was,
deserves every
absolutely.
penny of it.
How many
I don't know that it's a financial reward.
how many goalkeepers that did not win the game have won MLS Player of the Week in MLS history?
How many goalkeepers that didn't start have won Player of the Week in MLS?
That's got to be a first for sure. So yeah, shout out to Jacob Jackson. FC Dallas season probably going to end this weekend against Austin. But Inter Miami Seattle, the fallout from the Leagues Cup brawl. We already saw that Luis Suarez, Busquets, Aviles, they got major suspensions for Leagues Cup. Steven Lenhart banned from Leagues Cup. We'll probably never see them in Leagues Cup ever again. However, Busquets and Aviles did not receive further MLS suspension. Luis Suarez received 3 games of suspension. He will miss their next 3 matches, which, by the way, Miami has a lot of games in hand. I believe they have 9 games left in the season. So not really too much for Suarez. Armand, is this seem like a fair suspension? I'll give you my thoughts, but I want to hear if you think this is a fair suspension for the MLS games. Did MLS get this right?
I think he meant Falcon, because Falcon was the one that kind of got into it with all the guys, I think.
He didn't get the additional...
Aviles was given a 3-game suspension for Leagues Cup.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, Falcon was one that avoided a lot of the
Yeah.
a lot of suspension. He was involved in a lot of. I think Steven Lenhart punched him in the face. So that was kind of the occasion.
He's got a punchable face.
Who?
Yeah, but both of those
Falcon.
guys, I mean, that's curly hair, long curly
That
locks
is.
guy on
Yeah.
long curly locks guy.
I'd pay to watch that.
Yeah, I would.
MLS celebrity boxing. It'd be great.
I think it's enough. I think it matches the Ache suspension that he got. Even though Ache didn't actually spit on someone, he spit on the ground towards a referee. I guess that's the precedent you could point at it. But any suspension in MLS wouldn't make that many MLS fans happy unless it was for like an extreme amount of games. It seems like Miami has taken this villain. I mean, you saw the fake quote about Messi telling Pedro de la Vega, "Hey, you'll never play on the national team if it's up to me." Like, it's all just like made up stuff that's coming up. For me, I'm okay with the 3-game suspension. If it was 4 or 5, I'd also be okay with it.
Do you
Like,
think
for me, I'm
punching
very
someone?
easy.
Do you think punching someone is the same as spitting on someone?
I think spitting's worse.
Well, clearly it's not the same.
Okay, so spitting on someone is worse than punching someone, because in most typical soccer, if you really punch someone, you're going to get a 3-game suspension, right? So whereas Suarez spit on an old man, okay? He did. He spit on an old man, and he is getting a 3-game suspension in MLS. I'm sorry. I don't count the Leagues Cup stuff. Yeah, okay, whatever. In FA Cup, in most traditional leagues in Europe, suspensions carry over from, and I looked it up, cup suspensions typically carry over into the league, which this doesn't. So for me, it's not nearly enough, because I'm sorry, if you're MLS, you know these Leagues Cup suspensions are nothing. Like, it's an easy cop-out for you, and that's fine, and I get it. But these suspensions don't mean anything. Busquets probably not on the team next year. Maybe Suarez is, maybe he isn't. But to me, 3 games sends a message that this is going to happen again, and there's going to be another brawl. And this isn't, hey, you got to control it. You guys got to control yourselves. This is, yeah, you can kind of do whatever you want here. And if there is a brawl that happens in the playoffs with Inter Miami, I think MLS has to look in the mirror. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I agree with you that if you're trying to prevent future incidents, that this isn't a deterrent. Is that what we wanted?
Sure.
Because it should be punishment for the behavior that happened on the field. I think, like, it's obviously repugnant. It's obviously literally disgusting, both like as the humanity and also like ew. Like, in both ways, it is disgusting that he spit on someone. And you can argue that Suarez is a repeat offender. I think that's where people's mind goes. But he hasn't really been a repeat offender in MLS, right? And I'm not trying to draw the Leagues Cup MLS. I'm saying when he's worn the Inter Miami jersey, he's been on good behavior,
Yes,
right?
correct,
He's generally been. I know there's some incidents and back and forth, whatever, but like he hasn't been anybody like he did in the past. We haven't had the racism incidents. Like he's been a pretty good soldier, however you want to put it. I think that I can like you are making this up, right? Like Armand said, like he's good with 3, he'd be good with 4 or 5. Yeah, me too. But like, where is the line? Some people are saying this is not in enough games. It needs to be this many or this many. But why? Like, I think it's really difficult. You look at the past MLS suspensions for like use of homophobic slurs. To me, that is worse than punching someone.
100%,
That is
100%.
worse. But like again, like is it worse than spitting on someone? I don't know. Spitting on someone is really gross. That's really not okay. But it's also really not okay to use a homophobic slur, especially it was a USL like at a player who is openly gay. Like this is not okay. But often those incidents, I think last year, 2 years ago, I can think of I believe Sosa was 3 games, right?
Yep.
Mark Birch way back in the day did a lot of education, really took things seriously. That's beautiful. We like to see that. That's saying I'm going to change as a person because I shouldn't be doing this. And maybe that's what you want from Suarez, is for him to sign up for anger management or for him to do some sort of community service. But I think that's really difficult for MLS to mandate. And that's why I say this is all made up. What's the right price? I don't know. I think he should have. I'm okay with 3. I would be okay with it's harsh. I'm glad they did something. I am surprised that Busquets escaped everything. But even then, like I think the disco is doing the, frame by frame of how hard was the punch. Because Obed Vargas has a chin, man, and he went down pretty easy, but he got punched. Like, what do you say? Like, what do you do? I think it's a difficult sort of thing. It's a lot easier to litigate on social media than it is to litigate from the actual rule book that the CBA, like the players CBA has, right?
I like the way you put it of, do you want this to be a punishment that is fitting the crime or preventative of future crimes? Because I think those are 2 different questions. And to me, Inter Miami, while Suarez is not a repeat offender, they are kind of repeat offenders for all of the different things we've seen. I mean, just in the last Leagues Cup round where you had the coach Mascherano sent from the stands, but then he's sitting right behind the stands. I think you can clearly make a case that, and obviously, that Inter Miami and MLS are at a little bit of odds, and that Inter Miami doesn't respect MLS's authority. Not that that is necessarily like not understandable, but that's where I think you have to look at it and say, is this preventative or does this fit this individual crime at this one moment? Back to national team content here. Segment number 4. World Cup qualifying is hitting the ground running in CONCACAF. Not necessarily the goals. I was giving John a little bit of stick in the group chat. We saw out of 6 games, only 1 game saw both teams score, and only 3 games even saw goals. But John, you're really locked into those matches. Who do you think had the best result of the first round of qualifying? And then tonight, obviously, this will probably go up Tuesday morning, so there will be another round starting tonight.
Yeah, undoubtedly the best result of the first match day is El Salvador. La Selecta went to Guatemala and they pulled off a victory. Were they the better team? Not really. Did they do anything especially well? Got a good performance from their goalkeeper. But the fact that they were able to sort of arrest their slide, no Gold Cup group wins out at the group stage, and kill the momentum of their group mates, Guatemala, who had such a good Gold Cup, who everyone was so excited about, it felt like they had all the momentum they needed to try and get either that first place, which we all think is going to go to Panama, or the second place, which could put you in a playoff in March, somewhere in North America. The fact that El Salvador sort of achieved that double goal is massive. Now, I see fans saying, well, we're basically already qualified. No, that's not right. They still need to play and win against Suriname. People already know probably the result by the time this is up. And then they have 2 more home games in October, so you understand the optimism. However, if you're still playing games, there's still stuff hanging in the balance in November, you got to go to Panama, who we all think is going to win the group. So that game tonight, El Salvador, Suriname, is really interesting. I'm going to be totally locked in on the other game, Panama, Guatemala. Neither of those teams won their first game. Panama heavily favored. Thomas Christensen, their manager, they were like, so you need to win. And he said, yes, we were going to accept a win or a draw in Suriname, but the plan for our games at home is to win or to win or to win. So
Yeah.
I mean that's what they're aiming for tonight. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I really thought it's interesting. This final round of qualifying is so condensed that you just need to get hot. If you can just be hot for a month, like you can pretty much at minimum get yourself into that qualifying. And so for El Salvador, this, as we talked about last week, this was one of those games. It was like, which road team can win a game that will be really tough for them to win? And that is the one team out of the three groups that we saw win that road game that is really tough for them to win. And Armand, it's really interesting too. We talked about that, like the Confederation playoff and all that. That's super interesting as well.
It is, man. I mean, like just getting into that playoff and that massive wherever the hell like we keep saying, wherever the hell North America it's going to be, is going to be, again, really interesting and a really big task for these guys. I mean, I watched the CONCACAF. I had COVID last week, so I sat there and watched qualifying, which I watched all the 0-0 draws. I didn't watch a game with a single goal, actually.
No.
So,
but one of them was really good, wasn't it, John? I forget.
Yeah, I like the Trinidad game. I know you were locked into the Haiti game.
Honduras, Haiti, man. That game was
there.
Unbelievably good. Neutral site game. It's not a lot of fans. Haiti's playing all their games in Curacao because of the political situation, the gang violence in Haiti. Both teams played out of this world and somehow didn't score. It was crazy. I don't think the XG was like, I think it ended up being like 1-1 in XG. But that doesn't indicate how many good chances there were.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, the game I was watching, which the Trinidad match was. I mean, I thought Trinidad and against was it Curacao? Yeah, it was Curacao. Yep. That game I think was pretty fun with the way Trinidad was playing under Dwight York. I actually really enjoyed seeing a lot of MLSers in there. Dante Seeley in there. Kevin Molino, which I don't think he's still MLS.
Not an MLSer anymore.
Yeah, exactly. He's not still MLS.
Spicer.
Yep. Tyrese Spicer and the guys, and especially at home too. It's disappointing for them not to get a result at home because I mean you have in these really limited time you need to get the results at home. And for me, that was super fun to watch. I'll definitely be locked in. I was sad for the Bermuda boys. They got smoked by Jamaica. They're done.
They were never really, as you can read on Getting CONCACAF,
they never really
probably more focused on 2030, 2034 and building that project.
And then, John, also Mexico, Japan, obviously not full national team games, but the friendlies, Mexico and Japan, super close game. Cesar Montes got sent off late, but really a pretty 50-50 game for obviously now U.S. and Mexico are going to switch opponents in the second match. Did anything stick out to you from Mexico overall, or just kind of a as you were?
Yeah, I mean, the starting wingers were still Alexis Vega and Roberto Alvarado, and we kind of thought, will Chucky start one of these games? And when he came in, I think Mexico's attack improved. It wasn't leaps and bounds. It wasn't, he didn't create 8 chances or anything. But Japan's a really good team, really disciplined. They've been playing in their system, the 3 at the back, for quite some time. They're a very good squad. I think the U.S. is going to find out on Tuesday as well. And we'll see what Mexico does. I wouldn't be surprised to see Aguirre modify his 11 to bring Lozano in, or just maybe even give him 45 instead of just 30, because that's kind of what we've all been watching this window. One thing I would say is the right back starter was Jorge Sanchez, who I've criticized in the past. I don't think he's a good option. I think they have other better right backs in the pool. Good performance, man. Difficult day, difficult job. He actually rose to the occasion. So we'll see if he gets more opportunities in the future as well.
Obviously, World Cup qualifying in CONCACAF still going strong, but all over the globe is World Cup qualifying right now as well. Asia into some huge matches. We've seen the UEFA matches going on this week, and of course in CONMEBOL, there's 2 big matches: Venezuela against Colombia, and Brazil going to Bolivia, which will be played at the highest elevation in the world.
It's not a big match for Brazil, we'll tell you that.
Yes, not a big match for Brazil. Played at almost 15,000 feet, the highest big city in the world. But it gets you really excited about the World Cup. It's getting close. It's 9 months away. And we want to talk World Cup favorites here for a minute. Obviously, this is looking very far in advance, but a little bit of a state of play right now. who would be our World Cup favorites on September 8th, 2025? And I will kick us off for this one. I was watching, FS1 does these really good hour-long World Cup highlights shows every night during the qualifying. There's like 6 games and they condense it. Really, really nice. I think soccer is the best sport for those little quick highlight shows where you can really get caught up without missing too much. Spain, guys. Spain, who's going to beat Spain right now? Who is beating this Spain team? Because you look at Lamine Yamal on one side, you have the Arsenal boys in Merino, Zubimendi, you have Nico Williams, but here is the key. Spain has a new center back, and his name is Dean Huijsen, and he went from Bournemouth. Juventus, my team, sold him to Bournemouth for like 20 million, which is going to end up being one of the worst sales in world football history. He's already entrenched at Real Madrid. He chose to play for Spain over the Netherlands, and now they have got the best young center back in the world. They've got the best young attacking player in the world. They've got a veteran midfield. I'm not sure who's stopping Spain right now. Obviously, a lot can happen between now and then with injuries and with everything else and that extra round, but Spain has depth, and they have the high-end talent, I think, to win the World Cup and have a repeat of, what was it, 2010. John, World Cup winner right now.
I like Spain a lot, but when you look at who won the last World Cup, how they've done since then, what can happen, you say? What can happen is Lionel Messi can just keep playing. He just had his farewell match in Argentina, his last official home match in Argentina, and after the game, everyone's like, oh, he's retiring. He's not going to play the World Cup. He said he might not make it because he's old. It's Lionel Messi, and the World Cup is taking place basically in his backyard where he lives now. What could happen is that he could decide he wants to keep playing. And if he does that, you're going to have more results like they had in that farewell game where Messi scores twice and Argentina rolls past a decent team, Venezuela. Well, we'll see if they get in. But since that Saudi Arabia loss, which was like kind of the comical moment of the World Cup that they went on to win, I think they've lost 3 games, 2 away from home, 1 at Colombia, difficult place to go, tough place to play, 1 at Paraguay, where Alfaro had them really ticking and they were able to jump into the World Cup after it looked like they weren't going to make it. And they lost at home to Marcelo Bielsa's Uruguay. Those are all fine. There's no bad results in here. I was gonna say they're gonna test themselves in some of the October-November friendlies. Maybe not. They're playing Venezuela and Puerto Rico in the October window. We can get the Pray for Puerto Rico hashtag trending now.
Better than hashtag tacos versus sushi.
Yeah, we'll see what Univision goes with for. I'm a little worried about Tuesday. I think it might be like mariachi versus K-pop or something.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
That was better than tacos versus sushi, man.
It is definitely better than tacos versus sushi. But no, I totally understand why you're picking Spain. I probably would pick Spain as well if you gave me truth serum, but I'm going to make a case for the current favorites, and partly because of what Lionel Messi still can do.
I'm
on anyone else?
I was going to agree with John, Iran. Sadly. I was not going to say Iran. I was going to go with make a joke about the US, but that would be a pretty shitty joke. So I think, to me, guys, it's Argentina, and I think Messi is going to play in the World Cup. I mean,
of course he is.
I mean, people are like, oh, like those aggregate accounts are like, oh man, it's unsure. Like, he's not sure if he's gonna play. He doesn't think he'll make it. That's just Messi taking some pressure off of himself, man. Like, he's gonna play, and he's gonna play in the World Cup. He's been saying this
for years.
But didn't Argentina win like 2 or 3 knockout round penalty kick shootouts to win the World Cup? Like, yep. There was some luck involved. I'm not saying I'm not saying they didn't deserve it, but I'm saying I'm looking at their lineup for their game against Venezuela. Do you think Thiago Almada is a starter on a World Cup winner?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
What? Am I taking
less bias?
He's going to captain them tonight, man.
Thiago Almada or Lamine Yamal? I wonder.
Thiago Almada plays for Atletico Madrid. Like, I mean, it's not like he plays for some bum.
Okay, but we're talking. The only thing Spain is missing is a really top center forward. But other than that, I don't think.
Which Argentina has in spades, man.
Argentina has that, but then the Argentine defense, is Otamendi going to be able to hold up for another year?
That's a good question.
It's going to be really interesting to see. I don't think Rodrigo de Paul is even looking that great in MLS right now. Is he going to be starting for them? We'll see, but it's getting to be that time, guys. And wrapping us up, if we're talking about it's getting to be World Cup time, that means it's getting to be World Cup time in the United States, in Dallas, where we all live, where there are 9 World Cup games. It really didn't hit me until I looked at the schedule and realized,
on the LSU
Wow.
football side, on LSU's side.
It's not LSU football, man. It's LSU counterterrorism. Now this video is going to get flagged.
Yeah,
Online, I found this schedule from the LSU Counterterrorism Institute, and it's like the best World Cup schedule. Just lays it out very plainly.
Really?
You can click on the city.
Yes.
It shows you the games. It's got the U.S. like in Canada, Mexico pathways already. Check it out. I mean, they're not paying me, but I'd be happy to get a sponsorship from them.
That's awesome. Well, I was looking and I didn't realize basically you could go up and down I-45 for like 10 days, and there would only be 2 days out of those 10 that there's not a game in Dallas or Houston. You basically have 8 out of 10 days where there are games in Dallas and Houston. Unfortunately, the Dallas and Kansas City games match up on the same day a few times. So you can't do Dallas and Kansas City on the same day because it's like you have an afternoon game in one city and you're going to have an evening game in another city. But FIFA announced finally the pricing and process for their first pre-sale. You better get a Visa card if you want to get in this first pre-sale, and you better pre-register by tomorrow because it starts on the 10th. But guys, first off, what do you think about the ticket prices? It said it was going to be dynamic ticket pricing starting at $60 and going up from there.
I don't think it's gonna stay at that $60. I mean, the dynamic pricing, I think, is the part where, I mean, Jana, we went to the Euros, right? Like
Yep.
those pricings were maybe dynamic toward, not even dynamic, I'd probably say, but obviously the final is going to cost more, et cetera, et cetera. The dynamic one is going to price out a lot of people from watching, I'd probably say, good teams, right? Like
Sure.
like you are going to struggle to watch a game, like, for example, that's going to involve Argentina, Germany, et cetera, in my opinion.
Any
Like
top
those are
10
going to be
team.
tough to find. Like those are going to start at $200-300 minimum. I think the 60 is reserved for, okay, if you're gonna get Bolivia versus Iran or something.
Okay,
like
but
that.
here's
I
the
don't think it
thing:
would be possible.
when the tickets go on sale, you're not going to know what games are being played. So how is that possible?
I don't think they're gonna start at 60 though, man.
No, but I mean, something has to start at 60, but it's like, I mean, because you're also not going to know, you're not going to know which teams are in which city. You're going to be blind buying. I mean, I hope that this helps local fans because I think I want traveling fans to have theirs. I think they have the package for if you're coming from Germany to watch Germany. I think there's a package you can get where you're at all the Germany games. They should do that. But look, like the dynamic pricing means that like this will be an event for the rich. Like almost every sporting event that's like a mega event, and like almost every sporting event in the US, like that's how things have been. I really hope that with the dynamic pricing, the other side, that we get an opportunity for games that are quote unquote bad or low interest or whatever you want to call it, that people can see these games. I mean, I'm sure you guys have had the same conversation. I can't tell you how many people around Dallas are like, I don't care if it's Bolivia, Iran. I just want to go to a game in my city with my kid or with my son or with my daughter, whoever, right? With my brother, with my dad, with my uncle. Like these are special moments for people that they will never forget. And if you're gonna, I mean, look, like we get it. We all get it. We all understand the money and the desire for more, and this is the biggest event in the world. It only happens every 4 years. This is one of the most wealthy countries in the world in the history of the world. But like, if those people get priced out, what are we doing? Who cares?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm out.
And I do think though, like for instance, if you live in Dallas or Houston, those have 5 group stage games. You're gonna have some duds in there. I don't think you're gonna be able to fill a 90,000 seat stadium for $200 a ticket for 5 games. That's almost 500,000 tickets. That's going to be tough. However, okay, let's take like John, your wife, for example. I'm sure she wants to go to a game, right? Like she's not a soccer diehard. Of course she wants to go to a game. Those are going to be the games where she probably doesn't care. She just wants to go to one. And it, as we've seen, like Armand was mentioning the Euros. So we went to the Germany-Hungary game, host country. I think that our tickets were around $275, $300.
$200, yep, $250, yep.
$250. We got tickets the day before to Slovenia versus Ukraine, and it cost us $60, and we were sitting right by the pitch. I think you're going to see something similar. And remember, FIFA owns, they have their own resale market. This isn't going to be done somewhere else. FIFA's controlling all of it. The second thing that we want to talk about is there, and we don't know the games yet, but the bucket list games. And John, you're the only one of the 3 of us who has been to a World Cup. Is there some sort of bucket list thing or the type of experience you want to see at a World Cup that you're like, it's worth it, you have to do XYZ?
I think I've heard a lot of people saying this as well, and my bucket list game is the opening game in Mexico City. I've covered Mexico for so long. It's a country that I love. I was there in 2018 for all of their matches, and that was so special to me to be able to do that for my career. But I think a lot of people are just saying, I want to travel to a home Mexico match. And Mexico plays so infrequently in Mexico that, this is the moment, right? I think a lot of Mexican Americans are going to travel to Mexico to see games and see El Tri in action. And that's another one where like, you might be able to pick up some other games too if you have the ability to travel to Mexico, because it's not just Mexico. They're out there. Group mates are going to be playing, and those might not be flashy ones, but for me, that's the bucket list. And then we're all based in Dallas. If I'm in that semi, man, I'd be pretty stoked.
By the way, it's kind of crazy to think about. Like for Mexico, this is going to be their first competitive game on Mexican soil since in what, like 6 years or something like that? Because obviously they didn't have to qualify for this World Cup, so there's even that extra pent up. Armand, I think we've got the tickets for our bucket list game.
Yeah, that's
think?
what I was gonna say. I mean, just to piggyback off John's point, to go to the Estadio Azteca, like a venue like that, and be there for the opening Mexico match is something that it just is the romanticism of the sport, Like we talk about this like very capitalistic World Cup that we're gonna see where, we're talking about how people are gonna get gouged for tickets and etc. But that will be a beautiful sight for people to go there, and also a nightmare, I think, logistically when it comes to traffic and getting there. I mean, we went to Mexico City together, and we went to a Club America game that started at 9 local time, and it was a pain in the ass.
When did we leave? Like 5:30, and we barely made it.
Maybe earlier, man. No, but the problem is leaving. The problem with leaving is going to be
that's going to be a disaster.
Maybe the renovations have fixed everything.
By the way, John, is it true they're going to play Portugal in the very first game at Azteca? I've seen it.
That's the report, is that the Azteca will reopen in March, to start to do the testing and to see how World Cup ready it is with a game, with Ronaldo's first ever visit to Mexico, Mexico national team, the men's national team playing against Portugal. That's the reporting from Claro Sports. Alejandro, my friend over there, he's the one reporting it. He's solid, so I trust it. Lots of things can change. I don't think it's all signed, but it'd be, again, kind of romantic and obviously something that people would definitely, shell out to see. I think like it's funny because the Mexico national team has been forced to sort of wander.
Yeah.
And explore other parts of Mexico. It's, again, I don't think it's confirmed, but they're supposed to play in Torreon in November. They never do that, so like that's cool. But they played so much of the Azteca that people kind of stopped going because it's like, well, yes, Mexico City has a huge population, but if you want to see it, you probably were there last month, or you're there 2 months ago, so it's very matchup dependent. Portugal will bring the fans out, as will the World Cup.
Well, the bucket list for me and Armand purchased. We paid quite a bit of money for right to buy for the USA game in Seattle, and that is, to me, LA's. I know y'all are big fans of LA. LA's not really my scene. Seattle, though, when you think about the USA playing a World Cup game in a very niche market that is going to be heavily, I mean, every home match is going to be heavily partisan to the US, but that game, there's something to me that is just going to be so amazing about being in Seattle for that game. I think it's going to be the best atmosphere for the US of the entire tournament, which could be quick, who knows? And it's that middle game, so there's still going to be everything to play for no matter what happens in the first game, no matter what happens in the last game. That optimism will still be there, and so getting to go to Seattle, we haven't purchased the tickets yet, and I'm budgeting like what, $500 a ticket, probably $600 a ticket. I think that's going to end up what it costs us, but yeah, definitely get registered. Go to FIFA.com to get your registry in. And
D-Rob, could I add the other bucket list game I had?
Yes.
So it's wherever Iran is going to play, which we don't know where it's going to be, but definitely planning on. He doesn't know this. I don't think he's near right now, but definitely planning on taking my dad. I don't think he's seen Iran play for years now, so it'll be cool to see where they're gonna play. If it's in Dallas, that'd be amazing. I mean,
there's a good chance
with the political situation, so we don't know.
Yeah, they might be in Mexico, bro.
If it's Mexico, that'd be amazing. But overall, like it's. I mean, how funny would that be? The opening game if it was Iran, Mexico, and that would. It's funny. The right to buys for the Mexico games are extraordinarily expensive for those.
They are,
especially for the opening match. So that's definitely one. Wherever Iran plays, and I've heard that sentiment from a lot of people. If they play in LA, there's a 0% chance I'll get that ticket with all the Iranians there. But
what would be the best city for Iran to play in? For
LA.
You to get a ticket?
LA.
No. For you to be able to get a ticket.
What's the least Persian city? What about
Kansas City?
Man. Yeah, probably Kansas City. I mean, That'd probably be the
What's
best
the
one.
Canadian? I mean, there's some choppy relations with Canada.
Well, remember
right?
Canada nixed the game
Yes.
that they were supposed to play in
'Cause of the
2021,
plane
2022 in
bombing,
preparation
right?
yeah, 'cause they shot down their own plane. But yeah, it will be definitely a cool moment to do that wherever the hell it is, and hopefully it's in Dallas because that would make things a little bit easier for me. But that's definitely one that I'm definitely planning on outside of the other 7 or 8 games. I'm
But
hoping
that's
to hit.
exactly what I'm talking about. You know, I know we're trying to wrap, and people are not going to watch it this far. Sorry, but like, I think that's what I'm saying. Where it's like, you know, Armand. Obviously, we make $1 billion from the Hex, so you're going to be able to take your dad no matter where it is and pay for the tickets. But like, I think most people would want to have those moments. The U.S. Look, like, I know this is my soapbox. I know this is like we all agree, but like that's the beauty of the U.S. and that's one of the special things is that like we all know people who are Colombia fans, Peru fans. Well, they didn't make it, but you know, like Persians, Japanese people. Like we have these communities and like and second generation where it's like, oh my gosh, if I go to that game with my dad, I will never forget that. It's going to be an amazing moment. If I take my mom to this game, she's going to be so happy, and it would be such a beautiful surprise. I hope that the ticket prices, the ticket procedures allow for that to happen because to me, those are the stories. How many of them get told in the media? How many of them we talk about on the Hex? Probably not that many, but those are the stories that personally make the World Cup so special, so significant, and it's why we all like it beyond what happens on the field, which is also great.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be an insane summer. Can't wait for it. It's on its way because we're headed into fall, which means next summer will be the World Cup. Next week, we will have plenty of fallout from the U.S. matches. We'll have another week of MLS, and MLS will be getting into its biggest games. Liga MX coming back, so we will certainly have plenty to talk about, and we will catch you next week.